Carlos from Daily Carry Solutions. I am here at the Artisan Cutlery / CJRB booth here at SHOT Show 2020. This is actually going to be the 1-year anniversary of Dylanmallery's design, the Archeo, and his CJRB design, the Centros. There's a lot of new stuff that's coming out. I believe he has a new design that he is prototyping here, as well as a few other designs and locks that are probably going to be switching things up quite a bit. So stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and get some in-depth looks at what's going to come up for 2020 and beyond. All right, so I am here with Russell from Artisan Cutlery / CJRB.
CJRB.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So there's a couple of new things that you guys would like to show up. Okay,
a couple things.
Show me some cool stuff here.
All right, so where do you want to start? High end or lower end?
Let's start from the top. How about that?
So from the top, the one that's been going around online, the one that's been on our Instagram. First time doing a front flipper, designed by Ray Laconico. This is the Centauri.
Very nice.
Damascus. We have Damascus on this one. We also have S35 VN. Nice contour carbon fiber scale, and we kept it really thin. We tried to make sure this was a nice thin stock blade, and this is just like really comfortable in the hand. Full jimping on top. We actually talked to Ray about doing this. Normally he likes to have his logo on the top, but instead we were like, hey, the way this is contoured, it feels great without, but we just want to put a little extra grip on top, so instead we actually changed and put his logo on the back spacer, which we thought was kind of a cool touch.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Typically you see something like you mentioned, a lot of his designs, his signature is typically putting, you know, the Ray Laconico, just you know, a text, Ray Laconico right on here.
It's super
You've
classic.
seen it for some of his customs, you've seen it on some of his production knives.
Yeah.
This is actually the first one I've ever seen that is not only a front flipper, which is not something he normally does.
No, actually.
But it's something that he kind of, it's kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah, so actually with this one, I was talking with Ray at USN, and he brought the custom version of this knife, because I talked to him previously about doing a front flipper, and he had one that was similar to one of his other knives, and he was talking to me, he's like, hey, I don't really want to do it because it looks way too similar to something else I make. Let me see about making a different one. And he made a couple versions of a front flipper, and when he brought them to Blade Show, they all just sold, just gone.
Wow, yeah.
So
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no, they're great. So I met up with them afterwards, and I'm like, hey, that kind of like drop point Warncliffe knife, I want it. Can we do it? It's like, sure. Want to do a frame lock? Want to keep it super thin? Sure. So like 3 or 4 visits later, we finally get this down, and on top of that, I have another prototype in pocket. I actually have a small version of this guy. Prototype right now. We're gonna see if we can do this one, but it is such a just a good-looking, clean knife, very elegant, gentlemanly.
Let's lay it down right here to see what the difference is in size, so people can go ahead and see what
There we
we're
go.
talking about. It's a nice difference in size. So this looks like it's a blade that's under 3 inches?
Yes, exactly 2.9.
Nice.
By Ray's request.
Okay.
So it is
that's good.
under 3 inches, unequivocally.
That's good. That increases the viability of this knife, especially in places where there are blade restrictions around the U.S. and even outside of the U.S.
Yes.
I like the smaller blade because I think that this would make a really good office-friendly EDC.
Exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The fact is, both of these are extremely thin, but to combine that with, you know, quality steel, a frame lock, you know, just the aesthetics, and then something of this size that can easily be open and closed. I mean, this is a no-brainer, and I think that this is gonna hit it out of the ballpark with Artisan. I mean, this is a really nice collaboration, and I guess unlike this one, you said this is a prototype.
Yes.
That's probably the reason why you'll see Ray's insignia right here on the spine.
Yeah.
It says the R Laconico over here. Maybe you can catch that in the camera, maybe not, but in any case, that's a really, really nice design, and I'm kind of jealous right now, man.
Yeah, I mean,
what's up with that?
You know, as it goes back in my pocket. Yeah. So we got another new one here. We released our Hyperion model at Blade Show West last year, and that was a pretty impressively sized knife. Pretty, you know, it was a little big, and a lot of people wanted a small version of it. In fact, the designer, Daryl Caston, actually requested a smaller version of the knife as soon as we could. It took us a while we had a couple of production issues with the original Hyperion in terms of the grind and the construction, but we finally got around to getting a small version of this guy out, and it really does feel exceptional in hand. It's designed to be a Lanny or a Barlow, kind of a classic American style knife, but with modern materials and kind of a very, I like thinking of it kind of like a retro future touch. Kind of gave it like a pseudo sci-fi name because it is hyper modern, carbon fiber, titanium. It's got the bolsters. It's got this like way out there clip. It's got his rocket motif, and it really, in a small form, is an excellent pocket knife. It feels classic, but it's not.
Yeah, you have that classic Bowie style design,
exactly.
Almost something you would see typically on, you know, your old granddad's American black lockback knife. It has the fuller, you know, you have the titanium, you have it in different colors. You can anodize it, you can get standard titanium in the black with that carbon fiber. It has the Artisan Cutlery here on the back spacer, and you have actually a little standoff here that doubles as, I guess, a lanyard hole or a lanyard insert. And I mean, this is really nice. And I mean, I opened and closed it a few times, and I mean, this thing is buttery smooth. This is on bearings, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing about this is actually a bolster lock. So if you look on the inside, the carbon fiber is overlaid over the titanium frame.
Here, so actually, you could probably see it on that one a little bit better
on the blue. So if you see that, the frame is on the inside, and the titanium scale or the carbon fiber scales are external. So it does make the action a little lighter, but it also does keep it kind of quiet, and it just feels very classy.
Yeah, I'm looking at the different styles that you have here. You know what I was thinking, and now that I'm looking at this standard titanium one, these scales, I'm assuming that you unscrew this, you can take off the scale, and then you can keep going and work on the knife as you're fixing it, maybe like for a deep clean. What I think that would look really nice is some like black, maybe some linen micarta or something like that. Kind of
possibly
switch
wood.
it.
We can do diamond wood, we can actually do natural wood. I was thinking, man, this would look great with like a piece of ebony.
Yes, I mean, ebony, something like that. This is a really nice gentleman's knife that would fit not only, you know, out in the woods if you're using it to kind of, you know, create feather sticks, that sort of thing, or, you know, in the office when you're at a presentation meeting and you're looking up a fine gentleman's knife, people take out their old school.
If you look at the clip on this one, Daryl designed this clip specifically for this knife. It is a very distinctive clip in pocket, and if you'll also notice, it's blind screwed into the back. So in pocket, it really is just the clip. So it's really classy looking. Like, it really just has character without being overbearing. And I personally think it's much better in a small knife form than the big one. The big one's great, but this is just so much better. My personal opinion.
Very nice, very nice. And this is called?
The Hyperion.
The Hyperion. So this is the small Hyperion, new for 2020.
Yes.
Now, is it currently out? Or
not yet. This is still a prototype. I think it is pretty much ready to go. There are not a lot of changes that we need. We just got to run it by the designer.
Perfect. Small Hyperion. Very nice. You got to look out for this one.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I saw this on the table.
Yes.
And I have to ask you because the last time we ran into Artisan Cutlery, we happened to run into Dirk Pinkerton.
Yes, you did.
And he, you know, gave us a little bit of a spiel on the proponent, which I believe Outer Limitless is doing a hard use test right now.
And how? And
yes.
how?
So, just a shameless promotion. Be sure to go ahead and check that out.
So
once you're done checking out all of these videos. So,
oh my God.
I can't help but ask, is this a Pinkerton design?
That's a Pinkerton design.
Guys,
that is actually the TBD on the name. We're still working on the name. But that is, if you've seen his designs, this one has some similarities to the Razorback fixed blade that he makes.
And it has that Dirk Pinkerton insignia right here.
So the thing about this one is this is very much a tactical knife. He designed this to be a handle, he calls it a handle minimized knife. Pretty much you can grip that whole thing and fit the whole handle in your hand. It's meant to just have blades sticking out and that's it. Super aggressive. I guess I'd call it a Tonto, but the way this feels in hand,
a little bit of belly to it.
It's got some belly too. It's really like a slicey Tonto.
Yeah.
I guess you can almost call it an upswept. Not really. Or almost a Tonto. Either way, it's a sick shape. And the way this sits in the hand really is like, if you grip on this, it just holds. If you notice, there's actually some internal jimping right here, as he's done on some of his other knives, along with internal jimping on this side as well. Backhanded, or in reverse grip, this also is a... Ooh, man, that feels aggressive. That does feel pretty darn good. But there are going to be some tweaks done to it. We might have to change the way... this one has external stop pins, so that's a pretty old school thing to have. I like the character it brings to the knife, but it does need a few adjustments because of where the flipper position is.
Yeah, I think people would misunderstand that as being a thumb stud, and they would think, why isn't it activating? That's actually, you know, it's an over travel stop.
Yeah. It's your stop pin. It's just a giant honking stop pin. It's such a different knife than the proponent, though. I mean, it's very much Dirk. It's very much Dirk's kind of aesthetic, but it's it feels small. It is not a small knife, but it feels small. It's compact. I think it is actually, yeah. Here, give this a good grip in hand. Like, give it like
I feel like you get a lot of blade for the size.
You do.
And you see like issues like with a lot of knives that are being released nowadays that, you know, you get a lot of handle to be able to get a nice purchase on the blade, but then the size of the actual blade and the ratio of blade to actual handle, it makes it just like an imbalanced knife. Yeah. You get something like this in the hand, and you put somebody like Dirk behind the design of something like this, and he's somebody who truly understands knives, because he's somebody who truly he puts these designs into practice. So to see something like this is just amazing.
Dirk is wonderful to work with. He is a fantastic guy, very humble, very nice, and very knowledgeable about this stuff. He's been making knives for a long time. He's worked with a lot of other designers, and Dirk knows a thing or two about making handles. Dirk liked his ergos, and I appreciate that. Even his blockiest knives for some reason feel amazing, and I'm sitting there going, why does this feel so good? Why does it feel so comfortable in the hand, even though I look at it, it just looks like a slab? I don't know. Dirk does handle magic.
I will second that. Yeah. And I believe also, I mean, regardless of the size of the knife, Dirk seems to have a way to make it happen. I've seen some of his stubby neck knives to something of this, and maybe even a little larger, and they all just seem to work right. I don't know how he does it, but I guess it's experience.
It is. I mean, look at my tiny hands. I can hold that proponent just fine. Dude, we're about there. Dude,
tiny hand bros.
Dude, tiny bitch hands. Tiny bitch hands.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, I got some tiny hands. The proponent fits fine in my hand. A knife that big should not fit in my hands that comfortably. And a knife this small should not. I gave this to some guy who couldn't wear XL gloves. His hands are so big. He said this knife fit perfectly in his hand. I'm sitting there going, how is that even possible? And yet it somehow works.
One thing I like is how here on the backspacer you guys also happen to put on the titanium backspacer the Artisan Cutlery insignia as well.
Cutlery on there.
It's very, very nice.
Are just machined in flat. That one we just curved around. I thought it was
very nice. So this is also a proto?
That is. Name is TBD. Still working on the name for that guy. I gotta talk with Dirk. I think we had a few things in the pipeline just for names, but the design is gonna be tweaked a little bit. Dirk has had some specific changes he wanted to make, and we're gonna just work with it and see if we can make this better than it currently is.
Okay. Now, one last thing.
Yes.
This feels like it is on bearings.
It is.
Wow, okay. That's pretty interesting, because, I mean, from what I've seen with Dirk, he doesn't really like to use, bearings too much, or maybe he uses washers a little bit more than bearings, because I know he's used it in the proponent, which was kind of surprising, but, I mean, just the action on this, you can feel it, especially, I mean, for being a prototype, this is a smooth prototype, guys. I mean, look at this. I'm gonna do it one more time. That's some serious.
Feels pretty good.
Oh yeah, seriously smooth right here. Very nice.
We're pretty much just set up to put bearings in most of our knives anyway, and we prefer the action of bearings with a flipper. Now, we might consider doing washers at some point. We'll see. We just have to kind of retool ourselves and get to a point where we're able to try out the use of washers. So we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. Thank you, Russ.